Well, hello.
This is the homebrew Thanksgiving special, isn't it?
We're surrounded. Okay, can we, for a moment, what is right above my head?
Those look like carrots that someone tried to spruce up.
This side, other way.
Like
That one. Whatever that is. What's that?
that looks like peas and mayonnaise.
Are y'all really eating this?
I hope white people
Also,
are.
underneath you, is that supposed to be a squash?
Yeah.
What
Well,
are you
good
all
news
doing?
is that, I don't think any of these foods are at my Thanksgiving.
No, I searched. I honest to God, I went to ChatGPT and I asked an AI picture of Thanksgiving, and this is what I was given.
and they say that AI is going to take over, but this is the Thanksgiving feast it gives us. Wow.
Man, I gotta be honest. Those potatoes down below me,
Sad.
just time and no.
It looks like they cut them in half. That actually looks like a whole bulb of garlic, a whole head of garlic right there.
Right next to them, is that Brussels sprouts with like feta on it? No, I mean, look, I like a good roasted Brussels sprout, but this is ridiculous. I almost feel like we should start this whole episode over with a new picture, to be completely fair. This sucks. If I show up at your Thanksgiving and this is what we have, I'm going home.
Yeah. Again, I can't eat out of everybody's kitchen.
These look like Instagram influencer inspired dishes.
100%.
That like someone experienced. They were like, "Oh, I tried something new with the carrots this year. Get out.
Get out.
Susan, go home.
Out. There's the door.
Go run to Albertsons. Go get off to Publix. Go get something else. If any of this looks good to you, bring the plates.
Unfollow us. We don't want you.
Yeah. Unsubscribe, but bring the plates and cups. You're welcome to sit at our table. You're just not welcome to supply the food that's on our table.
You go to the vegan table, which we don't have.
Go to sit with the kids, and it's just Patty throwing food at you the entire time.
You're demoted to the kids' table.
Yep. Well, Bo, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks because I've been in a deep spiraling depression following our elections episode because we all know what happened just 24 hours later.
Insane work. But it's over. It's done. It's like a ripped off Band-Aid.
And then every day there's just more salt. Salt in that wound.
I hope that we can recover and survive.
I mean, strength of institutions, all that stuff. Anyways, we thought it might be fun because, this is our first year where we're actually marking holidays again. For the first, we've been away for 2 years, and now we get to mark some pretty cool holidays coming up. And we've got a lot of stuff going on. And, this episode's going to come out on Thanksgiving. Or will come out the Monday before Thanksgiving, I should say. So pretty soon here. Chatham's House Rules. I think we're going to make this a big secret. You already know what I'm going to say, but our dear listeners and friends might not. The next few weeks are going to be kind of busy and a little chaotic for yours truly.
A little tumultuous.
I've got the anniversaries here in Franklin, but then some big, exciting, but maybe bittersweet news. I am actually leaving Franklin and moving back to Louisiana, which
big reveal.
Great for Bo.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm not upset at the least.
But a difficult thing, right? And a big adult decision to have to make. That place where you've always wanted to work. It just is, the job is amazing. The people are amazing. I love what I do, but it's hard to live here. It's expensive to live here. All those things. So, without getting into all the reasons why, there's not the reason why there is, but to do and die. Bo and I were talking about it. We have just so much to be thankful for.
Truly.
Between you people who listen to this show, all 5 of you, who get on and listen to us talk for hours, and some of you actually binge these episodes, which is God bless you.
God bless you.
I don't know how you do it. I can't listen to myself talk for 30 minutes, much less an hour, much less 5. So you're doing great. But anyways, we just kind of thought we'd get on, talk about a couple things, and certainly, sort of bring you up to speed. So what I'm saying is the next couple episodes, they may be sort of spotty. They might not have, we might not be on for an hour, right? But we'll have a show. It'll go on. The show will go on, and I'm very pleased to announce, because Bo and I will be back together, Homebrew History live recordings, where it's he and I together again, as opposed to separated by some 500 miles in 7.5 hours.
Back to our roots.
Back to the old grind. Back to the old ways.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first episode recorded of us together in Homebrew History was at your old Tangy Lake apartment, right?
Sure was.
Yeah. That's going to bring back some good memories.
Sure was. We're going to, some good memories, some bad memories. It did almost die in that apartment.
True.
I sat there in isolation in the darkest days of COVID, barely able to breathe. Yes.
I remember.
It's nothing terrible to remind you. No trauma about that at all. No. Anyways, we came up with a little theme for this one. We're calling it, historical things we're thankful for, or something like that. I don't know. I was sitting around and I said, "Ooh, you know what? This might be a fun one. Is to just do something a little bit different, right?" So, Bo, what are some things that we're here, we're thankful.
So, funnily enough, and I swear that
these are 5 historical things, right? It's not just saying like, "Oh, I'm thankful for you."
I'm thankful for the oxygen that's in my lungs right now. I am thankful for this fat glass of wine that I just poured. Oh, I mean, I am.
There was the banner I was looking for. It's called "Thanks for giving us your attention."
That's true. Thank God.
2 biggest attention whores you're ever going to find right here.
Because if not, we're just talking to each other, and we do that anyway.
We talked for 45 minutes last night just about cheeseburgers and fried chicken.
It's true. Again, like Joey said last night, my back will never be unbig.
Yeah.
And
actually, I know one way it won't. It will be. It will be thinner. If we eat the Thanksgiving meal that's around us, I will just go home rather than
I'll actually leave the dinner table hungrier.
Do you think that's sour cream, actually?
I'm scared to ask. Because that doesn't, nothing, whatever that is, should not go. And did they put
Miracle Whip?
Ugh. And it's going to need a miracle, that's for sure. Is it like bean sprouts they put in there too? Like, are you kidding me?
I don't know. This is terrible. So, what are some of the historical things that you are thankful for?
Yes. Well, both of us would probably consider ourselves to varying degrees as Americanists. So first thing I'm going to be thankful for, at least in history and historiography of our nation, is the American Revolution. Without it, we would not have our American Republican experiment, or I guess in the words of Benjamin Franklin, we have a republic if we can keep it. And I'll tell you what, that last part of that sentence is starting to ring real hard as of late.
A little foreboding there. A little foreboding there, Benji. All right, so let me throw this one at you. What if I told you, ungrateful colonial that you are, right? That maybe I'm not so grateful all of a sudden.
They had it right in the beginning. Now, what we've done with it, that's our fault. That's our fault. My bad. Our bad.
So, admittedly, my thankful list is actually less about historical events and more about people that make our jobs possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also now comfortable saying this for the first time on the podcast. I'm writing a book on the Columbia racial confrontation, race riot of 1946. Some of you who have listened to the show for a while, or have listened to We Have Ways, or are members of the independent company, you've heard me talk about that before. I've posted about it on social medias and such, but now I'm talking about it because I'm almost finished and I'm feeling really good about it. I'm thankful for all of the archivists that I've gotten to work with over the last few years, because they really, archivists are the unsung hero of the historical community. And I'm not just saying this as someone who is also an archivist. but the archivists at our public institutions, the state libraries and archives, at the county archives and parish archives, your small town historic society has an archivist that has devoted their life to improving our knowledge base and our access to resources. So yeah, shout out to the archivists for making research possible.
I was going to say, you stole the words out of my mouth. The unsung heroes of historiography are your archivists and librarians for sure. And I mean, they bring a tool to us that is seemingly without a price tag.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't think of a price tag high enough to show thanks.
Actually, I can think of a price tag high enough, as I was reminded by a researcher who gets paid by the hour for their research.
Mhm.
Apparently, $75 to $100 an hour is actually the thing, and we know that archivists aren't being paid that. So God bless them.
Yeah, that's the going rate.
Yeah. Every now and again, I'm what did I do this for?
Yeah, right. I know. I went into public education for some reason. I don't know.
I know my way around an archive. I know how to research and compile an error. What the heck am I doing?
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, so mine starts with the founding, generation, the American Revolution, because keep in mind, for the time, the founding generation seemingly does the impossible. They sort of break the chains of royal despotism. Now granted, don't get me wrong, the founding generation has their problems. They're anything but perfect. And there's various ways that we can prove that. But I do have to say that the Declaration of Independence is, well, arguably probably the best breakup letter in American history. You can't prove me, I can't think of anything else. But, from the Federalist Papers to the U.S. Constitution, I mean, they are the very fabric of the beginning of our nation. So that, of course, I am thankful. But not only do I go from the American Revolution, I jump way far ahead and I think about the Cuban Missile Crisis, the one Russian I am super thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
The one Russian I am super thankful for is Vasily Arkhipov. Let me tell you his story right quick. October 27th, 1962. This is considered to be by most, Cold War historians who study the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is considered to be the most dangerous day of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, there were one of 4 Soviet Foxtrot-class submarines that were all prepared to fire a nuclear-tipped missile, if so be it. One of the Soviet subs was submarine B-59. Submarine B-59 was under the leadership of Captain Valentin Savitsky. And Savitsky came very close to actually firing that nuclear-tipped torpedo at U.S. anti-submarine forces on the night of October 27, 1962. Vasily Arkhipov is actually the sub's brigade chief of staff, and he actually stopped the firing of this nuclear-tipped missile because at the time, U.S. anti-submarine forces actually spotted their submarine, and the United States conducts some very low-level reconnaissance of aircraft. They shine really bright lights into the water to try to find this submarine, but they also drop depth charges to try to get it to surface. Well, if you don't know any better, obviously the captain of the B-59 submarine, Captain Savitsky, he already thinks that they're under attack. And keep in mind that the doomsday clock was only a minute to midnight by this point. So at least on the international stage, things have never been higher between the Soviets and the United States for nuclear annihilation. But if you hear those depth charges, that are dropping around your submarine, you're thinking you're under attack. So the captain thinks that they are under attack. However, it's Arkhipov who's actually in the conning tower of the submarine, and he clearly sees that United States anti-submarine forces are actually signaling the sub to surface, and they're not actually attacking the submarine, because if they actually would have attacked the submarine, they'd sank it. So Captain Savitsky actually could have made an order to make an immediate dive and prepare to fire this nuclear-tipped torpedo. But the message for the deep dive and preparing to fire this nuclear torpedo was actually never relayed to the weapons officer of the submarine. So effectively, Arkhipov basically saved the world from nuclear annihilation. And for that, I am thankful. Shout out to Vasily Arkhipov, the one Russian that may have, a little
Just
bit of
everybody gets one.
A broken clock's right twice a day, and that's one of them.
Yeah. So my other one actually is historical, and I was really fortunate this past summer to get to see this up close and in person. So right after we have Waste Fest in July, my wife and daughter and I sauntered on down to Salisbury, England for a day with James Holland, and James brought us to Salisbury Cathedral and showed us Magna Carta.
Wow.
Right. And so it lives in a little tent in like this little building, a whole other wing of the cathedral. You walk in, and then you go into this tent. There's no light on it. It's just a low light display, but Magna Carta is there. And of course, there's the traditional telling of the story is that Magna Carta, when chartered in 1215, establishes universal rights and rules and law for everyone. In actuality, it's more or less about the fact that it is still arguably the most iconic and most inspirational document in the history of the world, in that it inspires your first pick and inspires the Constitution, and it inspires really Western understanding of political theory. So Magna Carta, for defining who we are as a culture, I don't know. I can't help but pick that one.
Yeah, it's hard.
Seen it. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm really, really hoping that next year both of us can make our way across the pond.
I'm already going. You can come. I'm just doing it.
Hell, who knows?
Hopefully, nothing else going on.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping my boss is like, oh yeah, that's basically a conference, right?
Basically, it basically is.
Yeah, there's just more beer involved
this time. I won't be doing the 11 days like last time. This is going to be there and back,
in and out.
Get my World War II fix. As I say this, wearing my
I was going to say you're fitting the part now.
Yeah, my tanker jacket and all.
It is. It's finally cool outside.
It's freezing here, and then next week on Friday it's going to be 21 degrees. It might even rain, which means it might even
snow and yikes.
Right.
Funnily enough, when you talk about Magna Carta and kind of our understanding of the significance of political realities, that kind of coincides with this one, but the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Yeah.
Obviously it prohibits discrimination, on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. But I also think a lot of people too tend to forget that although Lyndon Johnson was president when the Civil Rights Act is passed, he's not the first one that sort of introduces it. JFK in the summer, in June of 1963, President John F. Kennedy wants to push, for this comprehensive civil rights legislation. But of course, there's a lot of backlash against, desegregation. He's facing a lot of animosity. And then, of course,
he dies.
And then we know in, November, actually, that's coming up too.
2 days from now, yeah.
He had a mind-blowing thought in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, God. I didn't think you were actually going to say it on air.
His head just kind of did that.
Ooh, yeah. Let's just be straight to the point on this one. There's no conspiracy. Lee Harvey Oswald did it. John F. Kennedy's killed by a lone gunman. There's a lot of probably conspiratorial things that go along with it, but you know what? The hard, fast facts and evidence show it's Oswald. But nevertheless, moving right along.
Yes. And just next time you're in Dallas, Texas, roll your windows up. That's all I got to say. Or if you're in a convertible, roll it all up.
I brought out the big ones for this one. And two, I had a thought about the Civil Rights Act. I wanted to throw this in there. So I've, in working on this research for the last couple of years, I've really started to learn a lot about the legal system regarding civil rights in this country. And I've also really started to reconsider Reconstruction.
Yeah.
I've quoted in a bunch of different areas for saying, that Reconstruction failed only because we let it, right? As a nation, we just sort of lost interest. We moved on. We, tried to fight the war over again, waving the bloody shirt, all those things, right? But the Civil Rights Act of 64 really is a continuation of the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the Civil Rights Act of 1875 and the Civil Rights Act of 1957 and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It just happens to bundle all of those up together. So what if I gave you this other provocative statement now? Is the Civil Rights Act of 64 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, coupled with the appointment of Thurgood Marshall to the Supreme Court in 1967, is that the end of Reconstruction a century later? Is it Reconstruction finished and delayed?
That's a really good thought-provoking question.
Because I say yes.
I guess politically, perhaps. In reality,
the work of Reconstruction still has to go on.
Sure. Right? I mean, Reconstruction, I think, it's very similar to, some of the philosophical nature of the Enlightenment, to where, because a lot of people will argue that the Enlightenment comes to an end after the First World War, because it seems that the First World War really brought, a sort of a zapped feeling to Western civilization. Things kind of come to a grinding halt. Millions of young men lose their lives. We have a whole lost generation of young men, and that really puts a damper on things. But the Enlightenment, by its very nature, has this concept of constant human improvement, of which humanity will constantly improve itself to, make life a little bit easier as we go forward. So in the same regard, Reconstruction is the very same way, is that we're supposed to be in a constant state of reconstruction, right? Times change, but we also have, things that we can make better. We have things that we can fix, legally for, those, minorities who have faced, the wrong end of the justice barrel, so to speak.
So also, yes, Reconstruction is sort of brought to its legal end. Then?
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of Reconstruction, was to get something like that. It's just been delayed, a delayed
century,
100 years.
Yeah, amazing. So my other one are the photographers, of combat era photographers, photojournalists that find themselves in combat role or combat situations, rather, I should say. And some of the first are, Alexander Gardner and Matthew Brady of the American Civil War, because they have documented for us what these places and what these events and what these battles, these tragedies really did look like. And then I thought too of the photographers that go along with the GIs in the Second World War. Some of the greatest, press correspondents. The great movie that's just come out with Kate Winslet as Lee Miller. I mean, what an incredible story, just her story alone. But then think too of the journalists that gone into the Second World War and how they're able to document the experiences of the soldier, certainly of the civilian, but then too of the incredible horrors of the Holocaust and the tragic realities of what the Third Reich was. We have photographic evidence that shows what happened there, and it's because of ordinary people who, they're 9 to 5 days a week was working for their small town newspapers in some instances, and all of a sudden there they are in Italy, and by the end of the war in Germany or in Tokyo, and we have them largely to thank for our photographic archive of conflict.
Sure, and not only that, but it's going to be our jobs in the future. I mean, people are starting to wear GoPros, and things like the Ukrainian war. I have to really caution my students of history to be very careful about certain videos, certain information that they consume. Because who knows, what this would bring, but it brings a new face to warfare. And we're seeing it on TikTok. We're seeing it on X. We're seeing it on Instagram, And honestly, I really do truly feel like that students of the 21st century have kind of been desensitized to that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you and I have talked about with John Heckman before is, this stuff is just there. It's not like it was in the 19th century when newspaper editors chose the images that they would make woodcuts out of.
Yeah.
You take a picture, you put it online, it's there.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you planned to consume that, it's there. You scroll by and you watch. I mean, just the other day I saw a video of some top Russian official's car being blown up, and I was like,
Boy, I did
just want to see that.
I did see that.
Yeah, but it's just like it's there.
Yeah.
But it's still, all of this stuff is still necessary work in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because we have to have these photographs, we have to have this preserved for posterity to be able to tell our story. So yeah, there we go.
It's very true.
Are we up to 3 now?
We are. Something like that.
Cool. All right. I was just checking.
So another one that I've got is it's kind of seemingly a little wonky, but 21st century technology that brings podcasts like Homebrew History, the Tattooed Historian, We Have Ways, technology that brings us to you guys. Because I mean, if there ever was a silver lining to the COVID outbreak, arguably the worst pandemic to hit the world in probably about 100 years or so, the world of history went online, and it's been, I don't know, Joey and I think that we jumped on this history podcast thing right at the right time. I mean, we have been introduced to so many great people. I mean, just to think back of some of the people that we've had on Homebrew History, like I would have never in a million years thought my goofy ass would be on here, talking to some of the most esteemed historians around the world, and, I honestly got a shout out not only to our amazing guests, but once again to our amazing listeners who make all of this possible.
How about your amazing bookie here, or booker?
That's true. That's true.
Hey,
I haven't gotten to 5 yet, so might have beat me to it.
I do all right. Come up with some good guests every now and then.
That's what I hear. That's the rumor.
Yeah, I might know a thing or two about a thing or two.
I know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
What am I doing here?
I don't know. What are we doing?
I was looking because I can't seem to find what I was looking for in here. But another thing I want to express my gratitude towards is this idea that we have the ability, like you said, as public history platforms, we have the technology to be able to reach quite literally anyone around the world and talk to them about, here we are recording an episode about, we're thankful for this, we're thankful for that.
Yeah.
We have that ability because we're here at just the right time. And like you said, this podcast came along at the perfect timing.
I agree.
But I think of the other public historians that are out there, and I think I mostly would just be thankful for them, and I'm thankful for Civil War Trails.
Yay! We are both very thankful for Drew Gruber and the boys over there at Civil War Trails, because God knows that Homebrew History is indeed brought to you by Civil War Trails. Make some history of your own.
Look at that. Sometimes the promos write themselves, but I am thankful for Drew and for Civil War Trails, not only for their friendship, but their ability to listen to us talk while they're out on the road.
It's true. And they do something that's incredibly unique. They take a museum and they put it outside. They said, go touch some grass.
Go touch the grass, you weirdos that are reading about the Civil War. Get out. Go scram. Scram. They don't want any of that.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
So this one is, for me, my final one, because it brings my heart a lot of joy. Because I got to thinking, throughout all of human history, I have to be thankful for any woman, any man, any child that has fought to protect the ideas of freedom, liberty, and justice. On the way back home today, before we got on this episode, I was actually listening to a Sabaton song called Uprising, and it talks about the Warsaw uprising in
I would like to
1944.
point out that this is the first time this season that Bo has brought up Sabaton.
It's true. I've been very good about it. I am
Here
in the
we are, like 20 episodes in.
It's true. I am quite so last year my Spotify Wrapped. I'm in the 0.000000001% of Sabaton listeners in America. So I'm waiting on my medal.
Spotify Wrapped with "We Have Ways of Making You Talk," and,
Yep,
and the rest is history.
Yep.
Like the top 1% of listeners.
Yep, easily. I'm up there without a doubt. But I was listening to that song and it got me thinking, because of like one of the lyrics is, men, women, children die, they fight side by side, and it's just like, it's, I don't know, something about those lyrics hit home, with me that, because women and children usually are excluded off of the battlefield, but you're in such a desperate situation.
Hey, what are you doing to your microphone?
I'm not doing anything. I am drinking wine one day.
Your mic is not liking whatever you're doing right now.
Oh, well, it's not. There we go. Hey, there we go.
You cut out for a good solid 2 seconds of just.
I dipped my mic in the water to see actually. Yeah. I mean, women and kids, usually those are off limits on the battlefield. But I mean, to imagine being under Nazi oppression for so long, and you have 1939 when you're asking the Allies for help and they don't show up, and they don't even show up in 1944. So you essentially have to do it yourself. So I'm thankful to any man, woman, and child out there that have fought to protect these ideas of freedom, liberty, and justice. American veterans, Allied veterans, it is your sacrifice that has brought us here today, and for that, I am most thankful.
Except if you brought us this food.
Yeah, yeah.
That you can keep it.
Yeah.
I made an annual kind of Thanksgiving tradition. You know me, I'm big on routines and scheduling and traditions.
Yes.
And I wanted to share a little snippet of that tradition with our homebrew listeners. By the President of the United States of America, a proclamation. It has pleased Almighty God to prolong our national life another year, defending us with his guardian care against unfriendly designs from abroad and vouchsafing to us in his mercy many and signal victories over the enemy who is of our own household. It has also pleased our Heavenly Father to favor as well our citizens in their homes as our soldiers in their camps and our sailors on the rivers and seas with unusual health. He has largely augmented our free population by emancipation and by immigration, while he has opened to us new sources of wealth and has crowned the labor of our working men in every department of industry with abundant rewards. Moreover, he has been pleased to animate and inspire our minds and hearts with fortitude, courage, and resolution sufficient of the great trial of civil war into which we have been brought by our adherence as a nation to the cause of freedom and humanity, and to afford us reasonable hopes of an ultimate and happy deliverance from all our dangers and afflictions. Now I, therefore, Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States, do hereby appoint and set apart the last Thursday in November next as a day which I desire to be observed by all my fellow citizens, wherever they may be, as a day of thanksgiving and praise to Almighty God for the beneficent creator and ruler of the universe. And I do farther recommend to my fellow citizens aforesaid that on that occasion they do reverently humble themselves in the dust and from thence offer up penitent and fervent prayers and supplication to the great disposer of events for a return of the inestimable blessings of peace, union, and harmony throughout the land, which has pleased him to assign as a dwelling place for ourselves and for our posterity throughout all generations. In testimony thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the United States to be affixed, done at the city of Washington this 20th day of October in the year of our Lord, 1864, and of the independence of the United States, the 89th. By the President, Abraham Lincoln, signed, William H. Seward, Secretary of State.
My man.
My man.
Big Abe. Honestly, Penny Man.
Yeah. Got to do my disclosure too. I am recording this while I'm at work, but I'm off the clock because it is after 5. So you'll notice office decor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to pick most of the things that are on the wall. Everything behind me is all archival things. But my action figures, meanwhile, I can't figure out where my hand is actually supposed to go. My action figures here. That's all me. You know.
There you go.
A couple books, those are mine. But Abe Lincoln. Right there.
That man.
I'm thankful for this.
Yes.
Collected writings.
Funnily enough, I actually got to talking about that good old lawyer from Springfield, Illinois today. Talked about his comeback into politics after bleeding Kansas to Stephen A. Douglas today in the first half of my American history course. So very much good timing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there we go. Little thankfulness episode. You know what? I got to be honest with you. I'm thankful for you.
Yes.
You know?
As I am you, and to not scare our listeners.
Someone keeps me awake on the way home.
It's true, and it's a brotherly bond that will no longer be broken. No matter if the Cowboys and the Packers play, they both suck. So
they both suck, and I have no interest in watching the Packers this year.
That's a fair point.
I saw some guy burning a Rodgers jersey, and it's like, dude, you are like 2 years too late for this party.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that this team is more fun to watch now than it was when he was quarterbacking.
That same guy that probably burned that jersey probably made those carrots up there.
Is that... I still don't like this menu. Anyways, I've been watching you drink from that cup the entire show. So what's in your cup?
Yes. So there is something that is very lovely that is usually served at our and I'm so excited to have Joey back in Louisiana because that means that we get to go drinking together, specifically at our old watering hole over there at
to the Brew,
the Red, White, and Brew, which, at some point I think we have to pester them now that we're both going to be in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
Them to,
I fully intend hit them with sponsorships.
Gnarly Barley, too. Why not? All the sponsors. But they introduced me to this wonderful red Moscato from Salt of the Earth. I could drink this like it's grape juice, and I will. It is absolutely wonderful. And you know what? I needed it today because, as you are aware of, I had to implement my teacher voice, my real one, in class today because somebody thought that today was Clown College Day, and it sadly was not. And I had to remind students that I can be big and scary when big and scary is needed. Unfortunately, I kind of felt bad for a little while because a lot of my good students were like, "Oh my God, is he gonna come unglued?" I'm scared.
That's a big man.
A big scary man saying really loud words. So I know you were at work, so I have to ask you. Is there anything special that you're going to drink later?
I have a cup of coffee right here. Just normal old. I got to be honest. One of the things I'm excited about moving back south is my unlimited access to community coffee.
Yes.
Because Folgers is just trash.
That's not good.
No, it's not. And especially if you like it weak.
No. There's no point.
It's just brown water.
Yeah.
At that point. Anyways, when I get home, I've got a little bottle of the Winter Jack ready because it is getting cold here. So it's that time of year when Jack Honey is around. Every song you hear seems to say. No one listens to this show to hear me sing, so I'm not. At this point.
Yeah, they probably quit listening about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but that with apple cider, double down on your apple. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. All right. Well, there's that. Happy Thanksgiving to our American listeners, to our British listeners. We are so thankful for you, for your friendship, for your kinship, and for listening and the ravings of these two madmen. We've got more coming for you coming in December, and then stay tuned for a little, maybe an interruption to the program, but I think generally Bo and I are going to try and keep things going. I've been recording some stuff here solo, some narrative kind of stuff. So we've got plans. You
won't miss us for too long, is what we're saying.
We've got plans or concepts of plans because apparently that's all it takes.
That's it.
Concepts of plans.
They're in here.
They're there. They're there. All right, let's do that thing where we go home.